Hello, welcome to another Board Deck and Dice Kickstarter preview. Today I have the great privilege of previewing Hero Master. I can't remember the full title. An epic game of epic fails. What an epic fail, forgetting that, and then the following joke. Let's go and take a look at an overview of the game and come back and I'll tell you what I think. Hero Master, an epic game of epic fails, is a jolly romp of ineptitude through various locations as you battle to earn the most money. Players will choose a race and a hero card. Here I have the priest, of course, and the elf, making me an elf priest or a priest elf. I decide the better way around is elf priest for alphabetical reasons. You will also take a deck of cards for each of your designations. So the priest cards here give me my weapons and armor, and the priest cards and the elf cards both give me action cards that I can use, and of course bungle cards, which we'll come on to later. Then the party leader will choose out of two locations. Obviously they'll be choosing the best one for themselves. The location is loaded with monsters as per the number on the top, and the first monster goes into the ambushing spot. Ooh, any other monsters go across the top there. To attack the monsters, first you're going to have to play cards from your hand to your 1, 2 and 3 spots. These will resolve in order, so they are quite important. You will do it in turn base until in turn order until everyone passes. Here I'm just showing what it might look like. And that top card is a bungle card that the human rogue has played on me. How roguish. So to resolve an attack, I would look at the stats here. I need to roll more than a 7, and I need to beat them in one of these statistics to do any damage. So that's fine because I can beat them in the fire and ice, I'm going to say. It might not be, but I think it is. Damage, and then I just need to roll a red die for me and a black die for the monster, or green die, sorry. 4, brilliant. No damage. I didn't even beat his armor. Let's see what he gets. A natural 20, fantastic. So I would have lost this battle, I'll be taking some damage, and the next person will then try. There are various other cards, including protest cards and critical misses. So a bungle card, if you roll a 1 you get a critical miss and take one of these cards, but a bungle card increases the chances that you will roll a critical fail. So you would draw one of these cards and do the actions, which aren't always bad, if I can get it in focus. If you feel the party leader is being a bit of an idiot, you can also take a protest card. If you are losing the game, you can take a protest card at the end of each round and then use it when you will. The first, not the first player, when you've gone through all the locations and met the dragon, the player with the most gold will win the game and indeed the day. This first thing to say about Hero Master is how tight and consistent the design is throughout the graphic design of the cards, to the artwork, to the flavour text. It's all done really well and really consistent. And although it's kind of laid on what you could say is a generic fantasy theme, there are humans, rogues, wizards, that sort of thing. It's done in its own style and with its own kind of charm that you really forget that it is kind of classic fantasy on one level. The writing is spot on for this sort of game. I've played Munchkin, I didn't find that funny, but I found that this is one of the few games where I have read the lore and actually chuckled, and more so than games that are meant to make you chuckle as well. So I really like that consistency, that the way that follows through a thread. The game itself it's not heavy, but it's a lot heavier than I expected going in. The kind of cutesy art, the humour kind of only puts you in one frame of mind and you sit down to play it and you're almost thrown off guard by the choices that you have. Each hero and class have their own deck, which give you armor, initial armor and weapons, which you lay out, and then they give you the powers and the bungle cards. The powers or attacks, sorry. The attacks you play to your slots, and the bungle cards you play to the other players' slots. And there's quite a lot to take in going in, and the graphic design is good, but it isn't. It's not cluttered, but there's a lot to it. There's a lot of different numbers you have to take into account. But that's all done really well, and again, consistent through the bungle cards. In fact, if they weren't labelled at the bottom, it's so consistent through. You might confuse some of the cards at a time, but helpfully they're labelled at the bottom what they are. So that gets rid of that. And then you make your way through, you choose, if you're the leader, you choose your location, which you're going to choose one that benefits you more. The leader gets a certain benefit, everyone else gets a different benefit. You fill it with monsters, depending on how many, which can be anywhere from 1 to 4. And then you choose one, and that's where being the leader is quite important in this game, because you get the choice. You get the first strike on this monster. If you choose to run away, it's going to swipe at you if you all run away anyway. And there's the real nice system of the ambushing monster on the side, which will also attack you under certain conditions. The game was a lot of fun once we got into the swing of those choices. So I think if you watch reviews, if you realise that it's not a light filler game, this is a 45 minutes to hour-long game, maybe a bit more with 4 players. Especially in your first play, where you're going to be making decisions who to mess up with this card, when to play your card. If you've got a really good card, you might want to keep it, but getting extra cards from the treasure deck is really important as well, because they are so much more powerful. I love the idea of the critical fails. If you roll a 1, or if someone's bungled you, you can have to, even if you roll higher than that, some of the bungles are quite high. If you roll anywhere lower than that or equal to it, you get a critical fail. That's great. The protest system, which we didn't use an awful lot in our games, but it's just nice to have there as well. It's a game that a lot of thought has gone into. This is a prototype copy. I'm sure the tokens, particularly for the gold, are going to be bigger in the final copy. But I was really pleasantly surprised with this. Not that I thought it was going to be a bad game, but I thought it was going to be on one level. I played it, and there was much more for me to think about, which, as I spend longer and longer in the board gaming world, I do prefer heavier games. So this was a real nice surprise for me. So this is going live on Kickstarter. The link will go underneath as soon as that's live. Check out Hero Masters, an epic game of epic fails, and we'll see you next time on Board, Deck and Dice.